This is part 3, and I do have to say I made a couple mistakes. The Quran was written in the 7th century, not the 8th century. And we had stopped right where we were talking about the idea of not harming your neighbor. So when you're writing about this part of your example of how people should live your life, this might remind you of other quotations you've heard about not harming your neighbor, about being respectful to other people, about treating people as you would like to be treated. So again, you want to say, this means that people should respect each other and not hurt them. You can talk a lot more about that. The Sunnah, this is a primary source again that contains the activities, the life of Muhammad, and how he lived the words from the Quran as an example for Muslims. And again, you know some outside information about Muhammad's life. You know some of the outside information about some of the 5 pillars of Islam. You could put those here for your outside information. You should talk about some of the 5 pillars that we learned about, such as the prayers, the confession of faith, the Hajj. And then when you get to your conclusion, you want to go ahead and talk about your thesis statement. The Quran and the Sunnah give guidelines for Muslims to live according to teachings of God, such as by fearing God, not harming your neighbor, and doing good works. And then you can make an opinion. Living a good life in a community where everyone's doing it makes the community stronger. And then at the bottom here, I've included the rubric that shows exceeding expectations, meeting expectations, approaching, and no attempt or irrelevant. And it shows you what you need to do for each of these. And it does say that the spelling language is not graded. So this is where your thesis statement has to be with your claims. This is where you're going to be talking about relevant outside information that would support the information about the Quran and the Sunnah. This is where you use the documents, where you cite them correctly, where you use quotations from them. This is where you talk about when the sources were written, who were they written for, what is their purpose, if there's any bias. And now, one of the things that we didn't talk about is synthesis. Synthesis means that you need to maybe say why the quotations are similar, why the sources work together, or why they conflict. In this instance, the sources all seem to be saying the same thing about living a good life. Now, what you do, of course, is you would write out all of your sentences in a single essay, take them out of the boxes. You could copy and paste, but you just want to get rid of all of the direction information, such as background information. So, taking all of this together, you now have a 5-sentence paragraph. So please go ahead and write your DBQ. Thank you.